I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, July the 28th, brought to you in part by Toromox by Norbrook. Use Toromox to treat and control gastrointestinal roundworms, lungworms, cattle grubs, mites, and lice. How's that breakfast? And Toromox is proven to effectively protect cattle from reinfection of key internal parasites. For more information, go to norbrook.com. Hanging out with the Godfather on Thursday, guys. Boy, we had a good time up there with my dear friend Jimmy Craig, and he was delivering, which he's been delivering for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Got another 2 or 3 weeks to go out of the Flint Hills there, buying cattle. Jimmy Craig has been doing that for 51 years. It's just unbelievable how he's established relationships and knows what's going on out there in the Flint Hills, and I mean right in the heart of the Flint Hills around Cottonwood Falls. But he's, the work's done now. He's just reaping all the favors of all the work he's put in over the last 51 years of being fair with people, being honest, being a good guy, taking care of the ranchers and the truck drivers and the cowboys and everybody that goes with. But we were there at Wednesday night, the place where he stays there in Cottonwood Falls, and just had an odd guy show up, and we were getting ready to go eat supper, and the guy comes in and says, hey, I've got a guy leasing on me, got about 800 head of yearlings that he hasn't got sold yet. Would you come look at them? That's the kind of stuff that happens to people that's been there for 51 years and everybody trusts. And that's what's happened with Jimmy Craig there. But I call him the Godfather. I've got several names that I call him. Diamond Jim or Diamond Jimmy is one of them also. But he's just a salt of the earth kind of a guy. Those kind of guys won't be around forever. But I hope that Jimmy the Godfather Craig is around forever. But he took me out on Thursday to the old Cottonwood Ranch owned by Jenna Miller, a sweet lady there that I met. And he was taking delivery of 14 loads of yearling steers there, northern quality kind of cattle, Colorado origin there. And the owner was there that leases off Miss Miller there, and he was just tickled to death. How could you blame him? The steer's probably making from $500 to $800 a head, and having the odd, really great year. And congratulations to him. But he told me that those steers gained just shy of 300 pounds in 90 days out there on that blue stem grass, guys. But steers weighed just over, on pay weight, just over 950 pounds, weighing in the 660s when he turned them out. Unbelievable, guys. He's got growing yards around Council Grove there that he gets those cattle warmed up on, and he kind of turns them out and feeds them on some grass patches around there, dry winters them, gets them going before they turn them out. But basically, his whole year just revolves around the 90 days that he turns those cattle out on the grass, and it's just unbelievable. Cattle were hard, weighed heavy, like most of the cattle have out of the Flint Hills this year. We'd weighed several loads, and there was hardly any manure at all in the scales. They weighed them on the ground there. The grass had cured, the grass was sticking to them. It wasn't messy. The cattle's rear ends weren't even messy. It was a great year out in the Flint Hills. Although it was dry early in some spots, some people didn't get to turn out, especially in the lower part of the Flint Hills there. But it was fun to go on that delivery. The cattle came into these excellent pens at the old Cottonwood Ranch that were just built here in the last 3 years. As good a set of pens that I've ever shipped out of, and I've done it all my life, starting out with my dad back in the old days, and then been along with several of them. But it was as good a set of pens that were built around the ground scales there, but they just worked perfect. And the cattle came in from 3 different directions. Had professional cowboys bringing those in from 3 different directions. Had professional truck drivers there. Nothing was a hitch anywhere. Everything just worked perfect. Cattle did really great. When we got done with that, We went over for a great breakfast that Anita had prepared for us right there at the main house there off that ranch. But the breakfast, including Jimmy Craig's grandson Jack's favorite Oreo dessert, which he had had a few years ago, and he thought it was the best thing he'd ever put in his mouth. And unfortunately, Jack had got some poison ivy here a few days ago, and he had to go back home and fighting that poison ivy, and it was kind of taking him over. But we hope that he gets to feeling better pretty quick. But his little buddy Austin Doring, the drone meister right there, he came out. He wasn't feeling too great either, but he sent his drone up and took some overhead pictures and just had a great time there. Everybody got along, and we had a nice time there. But thank Jimmy Craig, the Godfather, for having me as a friend and being a friend and inviting me to come along and go on that delivery with him so that I can tell you guys about it and show you some of these pictures and videos. But really had a nice time there in Cottonwood Falls, Kansas on Thursday. The plant fire that I told you about in Fort Morgan, Colorado, indeed happened, but it wasn't as serious as we had feared. They did have a fire there. Might have slowed production just a little bit. Might have slowed the parts that go after production there. And but for the most part, everything kept going there, and they were able to keep things cleaned up. And it wasn't a major deal, but it just reminds us of how threatened we are by a fire of any kind or any kind of a black swan that might come along and affect markets. But I tell you what, the heat in Nebraska is starting to take a toll, guys. I've talked to several feedlot guys up in Nebraska. The high temperatures and the humidity and the lack of wind, which is the main thing, has taken a toll, and there's been several heat deaths, not just several, sizable amounts there. That's just less cattle out there, guys. And it is starting to become a serious problem. We wish that this heat wave would move on through and get back to some cooler kind of temperatures there. But feel for those guys that are losing those cattle that are worth so much money out there right at the time that they're just about ready for harvest. But let's talk about your board on Thursday. August live cattle futures are down 62 cents at 178.05. October down 45 at 179.50. Your back months were mixed from down 35 to up 20. August feeder cattle are up 45 cents at 244.65. September up 82 cents at 248.27. Your back months were down 7 cents to up as much as 90 cents. Fat cattle trade, we still haven't established a market for your fat cattle this week. And I hand it to the feedlots for hanging out this long. They know how hungry these packers are. They're hand-to-mouth guys. Their cold storage is down. They haven't bought a lot of cattle here over the last several weeks. They need cattle desperately. They need product. They've got promises made to deliver product. And the few negotiated sellers that are still out there are holding out for more money. We didn't see hardly anything confirmed on Thursday. We did see about 2,000 in Iowa, only 3,300 for the week in all of Iowa. Live sales from 183 to 186, which would be on the lower side, and 292 dressed, which would be up there pretty good. But I heard call-in bids all over the Northern Plains, guys, at 188 and 292, and few people were taking them. They were holding out for more money, so you got to give it to them. And so the cattle that we're selling were off-grade cattle, off-class cattle, just some lower deals. Nebraska only sold 200 head, only 500 head for the week, so there's going to be a big Friday. 186 was the only price paid live in Nebraska. Kansas has not traded a hoof negotiated cash so far this week, not one hoof. Neither has Texas. So remains to be seen what's going to happen down there. They had 180 last week. I would think they could sure get 182 or 183, but the longer they hold out, the better. Box beef cutout values were lower on Thursday. Choice cuts down 48 cents at 302.86. Selects down a nickel at 279.76. A new product feature here on the Feeder Flash It's Valcor by Zoetis. It's a combination dewormer. It's a combination of dormectin and levamisole, and it's by prescription insecticide that offers an effective alternative to broad spectrum control and internal and external parasites. It's a good product, new product, combination deal. For more information, go to valcortough.com. Your slaughter, 499,000 through the first 4 days of the week. That's 4,000 more than last week, and 8,000 more than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Inherit Select. Use genetic predictions to select replacements that are more likely to make the most productive cows. For more information, go to inheritprogress.com. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Thursday, based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through the middle 12 states, 244.21, gaining another $1.76 on Thursday, guys. You see your CME cash feeder cattle index is dragging behind. It always is. It's a day and a half or two late all the time. But I want to tell you about another special sale that's going to be coming up. Callaway Livestock Center. You remember I've been talking about them. Mid-Missouri continues to be extremely dry. And now with these extremely hot temperatures and the wind that's blowing through there, it's like a blast furnace, guys. And they've got to move cows out of there. But they're having another special cow sale at Callaway Livestock Center on August the 3rd at 6 o'clock p.m. You can go on to dvauction.com, view and bid that sale, including over 100 head of first calf heifers there. They'll be top quality, guys, due to calve September the 1st, but they'll have a lot more replacements there by sale time. And they ended up having a pretty good sale. Last time they had one, despite the dry conditions, the cattle left the country, went somewhere else, and most of them stayed in production. We're hoping for that again, so don't forget about the special replacement sale at Callaway Livestock Center on August the 3rd. Talk about your big sales on Thursday. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas had 4,100 head. Those would be northern Flint Hill cattle too. A lot of them coming into the sale barns, guys. People bring cattle to the sale barn when the market's really bad and when the market's really good. So some of the guys that didn't get them sold out in the country, like the bulk of the cattle sell on a private treaty deal, they bring them into the sales and get along really well too. But Farmers and Ranchers Livestock sold feeder steers $1 to $6 higher. Had a lighter run of heifers. Most people turn out steers in the Flint Hills, and the heifers were $4 to $5 higher. Salina was your national beef wire stick out sale of the day. Look at your heaviest weights of steers. 966 head of 7-weight steers averaged 754 with a weighted average price of $259.09. It's about $7 higher than last week. 1,693 head of 8-weight steers, most of them coming right off the blue stem grass there around there in the northern Flint Hills, guys. Those 8 weights averaged 847 pounds with a weighted average price of $248.79, about $4 higher than last week on your weighted average. Had 718 head of 9-weight steers, the average 932, bring 237.40 on the average. Another sale, Winter Livestock in Pratt, Kansas. This would be one of their yearling specials. Tell you what, when you get more over there towards Dodge and towards Pratt, where the winter barns are, the drought is still on there, and it has been all summer. They haven't gotten the moisture that they had on the eastern side of the state, and not as many cattle were able to be turned out there. A lot of them because they didn't have water to drink out there. Only 1,200 head for the special, yearling special there in Pratt, but the feeder steers, a lot of them were in thin condition, sold $5 to $8 higher. They sold 366 head of 8-weight steers altogether. The average of them was 854 pounds with a weighted average price of $253.11. Like I said, you could consider a lot of those cattle to be thin. On the 9-weight steers, 340 head of the 9-weights average 936 pounds with a weighted average price of $235.57. Now don't forget, they're going to have the King of the Ring sale in Dodge City on Saturday. They are expecting 6,500 to 7,000 head of yearlings there. There'll be green grass yearlings off short pasture further over here on the western, central and western side of Kansas there. A lot of them will be thin. It's going to be hot. The way up will be good. They're going to have 8 of the best auctioneers in the country, including my friend Sisto Morales and Jay Romine and several other really top auctioneers there. I'm lucky enough to be a judge for that auctioneer contest, along with some other guys that are good friends of mine that are going to be judges too, including Russell Sleep, former world champion livestock auctioneer, and Clay Myers, a good friend of mine from the western Oklahoma panhandle there. But on Friday night, after the golf tournament, we're going to have the Cattle Marketers Hall of Fame, which the winners have put together here in conjunction with their King of the Ring sale that they have every year. And my good friend Jackie Moore from Joplin Regional Stockyards is going to be inducted into the Cattle Marketers Hall of Fame. I am honored to be the one to introduce him for his Hall of Fame induction, and I'm excited about that. I feel really special for the family and the people around Joplin Stockyards there to choose me to do it, and I'm looking forward to doing that. Congratulations to him. There's going to be some other well-deserved Cattle Marketer Hall of Fame induction members there too, and then I'll give you all the lowdown on that whenever we talk on Monday. But some other sales that happened, it was all in Kansas for the most part, guys. El Dorado, Kansas had a good sale, 2,300 head for them, and it was mostly bigger steers. Had 619 head of 8-weight steers all together. They averaged 867 pounds of the weighted average price on several drafts at 237.21, and more impressive was 409 head of 9-weight steers out of El Dorado. They averaged 957 at 230.90. Dakota Davis, and I believe he's in the auctioneer contest at King of the Ring also. He's from Enid Livestock Market, owns that market there, and went up in Kansas there, but he had a pretty good sale on Thursday. He sold 344 head in the 8-weight steer category. They averaged 867 pounds with a weighted average price of $243.46. Stickout sales, Winter Livestock and Pratt, lighter run, but they had some impressive quotes, including 63 head, 877 pound steers on the thin side, bring 259. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday, your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina. It was 158 head of fancy steers, weighed 706, bring 274.50. That's your feeder flash for Friday.